All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the broadcast. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. This is the Wednesday, April 25th, 2018 edition of the broadcast. Thank you so much for being with me here for another show. Going to be getting into some various topics of discussion here with you tonight, as per usual, and some various news items and all the rest of it. So, thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. Again, for the people who still haven't figured this out, we are no longer putting full shows up on YouTube. So what that means is that when a new show goes up, that on YouTube, a partial show that is, this is the indicator that there's a new show out. As I've stated, and as you can read when you see the videos, I've been saying this over and over again on all the recent shows. But if you go and look at the most recent videos, you will notice both on the screen and on the actual video itself. So if you click on the most recent show, 4/23/18, the title of the show is Josh Reeves, 4/23/18, partial show, in parentheses. Buy your membership to hear the full hour-and-a-half show. That's the title of the video. Then on the screen of the video, there's, the visuals. It says Josh Reeves, 4/23/18, theglobalreality.com. Purchase a membership to hear the full hour-and-a-half show, or buy the single show in the download shop. So what that means is that even if you don't have a membership, you can still go in the download shop, which there's links to in the video as well, in the information part of the video, and in the comment section. That's where all my documentary films like Spellcasters and Spellcasters 1.5 that came out last year, as well as my newest audiobook that came out back in November, The Covert War on Rock. All three of those essential before my newest film, The Spellcasters Volume 2, is finished here, hopefully in another month and a half or so. So right there, the title of the video, we covered that, the screen part of the video, and then on the information section of the video, it says, purchase your archive membership to hear the full hour and 30-minute show. Boom, that's 3 times, I'm counting. You see where I'm going with this? Then it's got the link to donate to the GoFundMe thing, and then it's got buy the movies, books, audiobooks. All that's there. That's in the information section where it says, read more and all that. That's on the video. Then guess what? If you go down to the comments of the video, where everybody leaves comments at and whatnot, I also leave an additional. So what do we have to 4 now? Additional repost of that information. It says purchase your archive membership today to hear the full hour and 30-minute show right there. Donate, and then the next one is the audiobook. And then to do you even more of a solid, I put another link in the comments that says purchase the full hour-and-a-half show that links you directly to the download shop where all my films and audiobooks are. You can buy individual daily shows, the full hour-and-a-half show, yet again, there we go, for $3. The shows will only remain in the download shop for a week. There'll only ever be 5 shows at a time. Once it gets to the 6th one, the first one in the chain will drop off, and then those will be there. So, but you can always access them if you have a membership to the archives, which you can get for $10 a month, $80 for a year, $500 for a lifetime. And yet still, all that. See, I was really, I'm more aware that I have to be more, redundancy, I guess it is. I always just thought I could just post, a link to this or that. People have mega trouble finding it, even if you put it right in front of them. So, and even after all that, I still got comments. Oh, this show is terrible. It's 30 minutes long and there's nothing, no info, there's nothing in it. Well, first off, I said from the get-go, it's not a secret. I said this. You go. I think I maybe said it in the show before last about how the best, the best info, the best. I mean, it's just like my films. Do you honestly think that I get up here before I get ready to make a film? I mean, people do. I know not all of you do, so I'm sorry for having to. I'm not addressing you, but this is a real serious thing I have to address because there's people out there that are doing this. Do you honestly think what would be the point at all? Number one, of making films, if I was just going to spend hundreds of thousands of hours and whatnot researching all this stuff, and then just get up here and talk about all of it. There are people out there that won't buy my films because they think that they've already heard the information from me in my radio show or anyway, which is completely ridiculous. I mean, my films are really where the info is. And just like I said, I didn't make it a secret when I said I was, not going to be putting full shows on YouTube anymore. I said straight up, if you want to get the real information and you really want the good part of the show, you're going to have to get a membership to get it. What I'm just going to give, that's what, so people are expecting me now that I've gone to do this thing. They can't understand while the little part that I'm putting on YouTube doesn't have good stuff in it. It's hilarious. I said that. I was totally transparent about that from the get-go. I mean, look, the only reason I'm even putting anything, and even putting what little bit I do on there now, is so that when there is a new show, people know that there's a new show available. If they want to hear the whole thing, they can get a membership. They can buy the individual show for $3, and that's it. So save your little chatty Cathy, busy finger, troll fucking, just save it. Okay? Save it. I don't need it. This is how it's going to be. This is how it is. And there are, people out there who have figured this out with no problem. But it's been amazing, man. The trolling campaigns, most of this stuff, these are people, the people who are pissed about this are people who are never going to support my work anyway. And they just want me to give them info they can steal from me. That's really what it is. That's really what it is more than anything else. Because they make it abundantly clear in their comments. They don't give a shit about me. I mean, I've literally had people leaving comments saying that. Nobody gives a shit about you. We just want your info. Wow. How would you like if I said, nobody gives a shit about you, give me your money? Doesn't feel good, does it? So why would I be expected to put up with that? I mean, literally, these people who are pissed about this are not on my team anyway. They just want my info. That's why they don't make themselves known. They go and put their little thumbs down on there, but they don't fucking make themselves anybody know who they are. This has been going on for a long time, man. I'm sick of it. And and the other part of people are just the fucking, the data miners, the spooks, the feds, the infiltrators, all that. But it has been interesting to see people treating these little partial shows. I mean, I don't have to put anything up here if I don't want to. I could just put nothing up here and just put a little thing that says, hey, there's a new show available in the archives. If you're a member, you want to pay $3 for the individual show, go get it now. I could just start doing that. I don't have to put anything up here on YouTube just to get, just only to just get abuse from people who try to make comments that they think other people will see. This is how retarded they are. They think that other people are going to see their comments, and when people see their comments, that will then make these people think that what they're hearing is the entire show. Even though right there in big bold letters on the front of the screen and in the title of the video and everywhere else, as I discussed just earlier in the show, it says, buy your membership to hear the full hour and a half show. Yet these trolls are saying, oh, this show's terrible. This 30-minute show, blah, blah, blah. That's, no, that's not the whole show. And I can assure you, in these, especially in the last show too, but in these previous shows, yeah, there's info there. There's good stuff in there. I got into some good stuff. But I would, again, in case I wasn't clear about it, if you're listening to these partial shows, they are not going to be a good indicator of what the rest of the show is going to be. I guess I wasn't clear about that. So again, let me reiterate that and be clear about it. That's not to say there's not, I think some of the stuff that's been in there was good. I don't know, just my opinion, but I'm not saying there won't be some stuff in there that somebody's going to enjoy, but I'm telling you, I'm meticulous, again, the whole point of this is so that the people who get memberships get stuff that everybody else isn't getting. Because again, the people who have gotten memberships up to this point, other than maybe, like I said, maybe 2 or 3 people, we haven't had that many, especially the amount of listeners we have. Like I like to talk about, man, if we would have got 100 people subscribe, if we would have had 100 people subscribe as soon as we switched, this would have been fantastic. And I knew that wasn't going to happen. But it also creates this false impression that now that, we're charging for shows or whatever, or now we're not putting everything for free on YouTube, that somehow that doesn't mean we still have fundraising goals to meet, because we absolutely do. I wish that we had people sign up to the level to where it would affect, our operating costs that we have to have every month, but it's just not. It has not. It's never been that way. Even when I first started putting them on Podbean back in 2012. No, it's never been enough to cover, because, look, if we had, again, if all the people that have listened to my show through the years, both on the live stream when I gave it away for years, and listen to all the stuff I've put on YouTube, say we have a video that has 1,200 viewers, if half of those got memberships, it would be beyond game changing. Right now we don't even have, it's not even 1% of our audience that has memberships. So really right now, only a small portion of people are really even hearing these full shows that I'm doing. And that's fine. But again, I encourage you, if you've been hesitant to get your membership, and join us over here, and get to hear the stuff that all the people who, as one of our listeners left comments on the last video and said, for the people who, you can't give up a cup of coffee, 2 cups of coffee for a month is the price of a monthly membership here, a pack of smokes. So there you go. I watched this film recently. It was a documentary. I don't know if you guys have seen this or not. I guess it came out last year sometime. I hadn't heard anything about it, but largely I ignore this kind of stuff for the most part, because you end up in the, in the realm of the Stephen Greers and all that shit, all that hoax ass bullshit. You wind up there pretty quickly. So I don't really pay much attention to this stuff. When I saw this documentary called Patient 17, have you guys seen this? I was aware of the guy, I guess, of course, from Coast to Coast AM and that kind of stuff. It's a pretty interesting documentary about, this doctor that has removed what are allegedly purporting themselves to be implants implanted in humans from extraterrestrials. I can't remember the doctor's name, but he was always on Coast to Coast AM. He was the famous guy that was on Coast to Coast AM for years talking about it. But I would definitely give it a watch if you get a chance. If you look it up, you'll see like 2 stars and shit like that on it. That's the typical fucking average people that don't believe anything. But I got to tell you, again, most of the time I'm skeptical about any of these, especially stuff from Coast to Coast AM and all that. I mean, there's just so much fake shit out there, especially the phony disclosure stuff concerning UFOs and all those, those guys are all CIA assets. And this phony disclosure to sell us, as I've talked about many times, on the stage alien invasion so they can weaponize space again and again. But there was a moment. It's interesting because I guess the Patient 16 guy in this, watch his documentary because it's very eye-opening as far as like, there's something about this. I mean, I always go with my gut feeling on stuff, and you guys know that, and that's what I always tell you, and that's why I report stuff like this to you when I watch it. But this guy, I guess he was like, he's just, I guess he was Patient 16 or whatever, the ones that got the implants removed. Watch this guy, watch his body language, watch his mannerisms. He's real, for some reason, he's ultra uber skeptical about the whole thing. Yet, for some reason, he agreed to go to this very specific doctor, that removed these implants that was on Coast to Coast AM and stuff. This guy, he dodges around like what he does for a living. You can tell he's like intentionally dodging that. Other than, I think, just him being Patient 16, they never disclose his name or anything else. But to me, I could tell 100% this guy's a government agent, some sort of government employee. CIA, NSA, something. And he had one of these implants. And I remember hearing when the implant guy died. It's crazy. Like after it's kind of interesting because if you watch the movie, I don't know exactly the timeline of it really, but if you watch the movie, it seems like this guy that I was saying seems like a government employee of some kind, Mr. Skeptic. It seems like the doctor who dies, who was removing the implants, it seems like there's some sort of direct correlation because it was right as they were getting the results and finding out what this thing was. And he was talking about, we're going to send it to, the electron microscope and all this stuff. And they're doing all this analyzation of this implant that they removed from this guy. And there was something about it, there was something about when I was watching this, or something about it that just, it was that gut instinct thing that's never let me down. That was telling me that there's something about this, there's an element of something about this is real, but this documentary and what they're doing here is some sort of attempt at, counterintelligence, yet again. So I had that feeling, from the very beginning, they show him, removing the implant from this guy. And I just couldn't put my finger on it, man. I just kept having this feeling. I was like, there's something about this, like something about this is real. Something about this is legitimate. Something with these implants and what's going on here is legitimate. But what's illegitimate is this presentation and the reasons for putting this out. It just really reeks, ladies and gentlemen, of a counterintelligence operation. And just how shady this guy was being about it and, talking about how, this is going to change his whole worldview and everything else. Religion. And then the results come back. They get the results back from the, from the analysis and the electron microscope analysis and all this stuff. And they start rattling off all of these different materials that they found that are used in this implant they took out of this guy. And here's where it took a turn for me, to where it made me, you know, that gut instinct I was just talking about, where it made me go, oh shit. And it's funny that the same feeling I had almost from the outset of this movie was strengthened even more, 100-fold, by the time I got done watching it. Because when the guy starts rattling off all the stuff that was found in this thing, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, I had my hair was standing up on my arms. Because it absolutely matches the same level of intelligence and knowledge of crystals and, you know, rare earth minerals and all this stuff like I've talked about with the rock wall. It matches that level 100%. And as they were naming off all of these materials that were in this implant, one of the ones they named, ladies and gentlemen, was niobium. And obviously nobody that made this documentary, or it made me want to try to track down the people who made this documentary to say, hey, look, I've got some info for you here. Because nobody there knew, like I found out on my own, in my own research into the rock wall, in my Lost Secrets of Ancient America films. Niobium, we didn't even know about niobium until the late 1800s. And niobium is not found, it's not an element that's just found on its own. It's only found in another element called columbite. And so in order to get niobium, you have to extract niobium from columbite. It cannot naturally occur. That's one of my main points about the origin of the rock wall, is that you cannot have niobium just on its own naturally occurring in nature. It has to be inside of something else and extracted through a process. And I think it might even be right after that. They were naming all these different compounds. Meteoric iron and stuff was in there too. And I'm just sitting here having my head blown, because I can tell as he's rattling these off, I'm sitting here going, this is exactly the same intelligence. Whoever made these implants is the same intelligence that built the rock wall.